Hello everyone, my name is Fabian George. I was just live at the Petra Global podcast and we spoke about real estate, we spoke about faith, we spoke about dominance in the real estate space, and I want you to watch it and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you listen to everything I shared. Thank you.
Hi everyone, you're welcome to the Petra Global podcast. Today we have an amazing person on the show. He's going to blow your mind. He's one of the youngest professional in the real estate industry, and he has done so much in Nigeria and even outskirts, other nations, other countries. You'll be wild to see him. Just come along. Are you ready for the unview? Today we have Mr. Fabian George.
Are you talking about me?
Yes, it's you. We have Mr. Fabian George, and I'm so inspired by you. Earlier we were talking before the show started, before we were on camera. I was just saying how I've seen you and all of that. I like your determination. I like your spirit. It's no brainer that you're where you are today, and I just believe that people would see this and whatever they are doing, they'll put their all into it. Yes, you're welcome on the Petra podcast.
It's a privilege to be here and share my insights.
Yes, we are honored to have you. Petra Global podcast. So we just want to talk about you, talk about what you do, and we're glad that you're also a Christian. So let's just go to the first question.
All right.
So what has inspired real estate? What inspired you to start real estate? How did you start this?
That question is a very powerful question. When I was in school then, that was when I started real estate. There was this, my former boss, he was showing us, he finished from my department in school, Asian and International Studies.
Wow.
And, he had started his company. So it was always like the model, to look up to in terms of his exploits. And I felt like this is a good stuff to, let me start. I remember then he interviewed us on camp, redemption camp. He came for a prayer retreat. I got his hotel for him. So interviewed myself and my partner, and I remembered, that interview. The next day we followed him. He told Peter that it was time to leave. The next day, we followed him as he was leaving the camp, and and that was basically how it started. So what inspired real estate to me, I would say that, is the possibilities it has to change lives. Is the finance, right? The money involved. You get. I used to tell people that there's no shortcuts to wealth, but there are faster vehicles, right? Some vehicles will take you to a place faster. Real estate is actually one of the fastest, vehicles to wealth. So I would say that the possibilities it has to change lives, possibilities it has to, affect a generation, the possibility it has to affect finance, that's what inspires me.
Yes, that's amazing. And because money is something that even transcends beyond culture, time. Everybody needs that money. It keeps going. And that's why you hear something like generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
It's that rock and the money is coming. So far, how have you been able to stay up with trends, like different things in this market?
Well, when it comes to trends in real estate, right, one of the things that I am able to, stay up to is, first of all, I don't allow my locality to define what we do. I follow up with what is happening on in USA, what is happening on in the global real estate industry, so that, when you look at all those things, there are some things that you can implement. Right? I feel like there's no new thing under the heaven. Right? The Bible says there's no new thing under the heaven. So somebody has done it before. Right? So there's no need reinventing the wheel. Right? All you just need to do is to look for models, look for trends. I subscribe to some global trends where I get a lot of things happening. Then also I have some industry friends, we rub minds together. Yesterday I was with a friend of mine, Ayobami Akinipe. He's just a good, amazing person. We're just gisting, so he was sharing with me, rubbing minds together. And from there we're already seeing a lot of trends that we can actually apply in the real estate space. So I believe that when it comes to trend, right, all we need to do is to look around, right, and identify some present problems that a lot of people are going through and look for ways,
To solve
to
them.
solve those particular problems, because
Yes.
nothing is perfect, and in the present state of things, you can already see the imperfections of those things. Before, we could not maybe use this
Yeah, the keep
stuff to
mic, yeah.
record. Maybe we have to use, wired mic, right?
Right.
But some people saw the imperfection in the wired mic and discovered
Created a
that we can have a
solution.
wireless. Some people say wireless is heavy, let's have hands free. The one Peter uses,
Then
and
uses,
just
and you
rolls and
can do
move
all
around.
your
So
gestures.
everything, right, is in a state of existence, a phase of development, right? So what we need to do is to look out for, things that are imperfect in the present thing, and see how that to evolve and innovate it, right? And that's the spirit of innovation.
Yes, that's
Innovation is one to infinity. Innovations will always keep going, keep
going on
moving,
and
and all
on, going
that.
on. So basically, what you said is profound. Like knowledge, getting. You say you stay up with trends. Like how you stay up to date. You read books. You subscribe. You talk with friends. No man's an island of knowledge.
There's something called
Yeah.
Google Alert. Google Alert will you put one of the topics that you want to be seen,
Yeah.
right, every day, everything that is going on around that industry, they will drop
Just
it
get
to your email.
everything.
You can read up.
Read
So
up.
you know what is happening, global real estate market in China, you know what is
And this is
happening.
why our youth needs to start reading. I feel like the book culture, everybody just wants to social media, all of that. We need to start imbibing the book culture.
Definitely.
Because no matter the industry you want to be in, real estate, even if you want to do agriculture, or you want to do fashion, or you want to
Definitely.
just be dancing, you need to stay up to trends, and you can
Definitely.
only do that by getting knowledge. I
Definitely.
really like that. So far, doing all of this, collaborating with people, reading up, have you had any success stories so far? Can you share one with us?
Well, I think when it comes to my success story in real estate, I think that will be my first sale in real estate. Right. For 7 months when I started selling, I didn't make any sale.
Wow, 7 months.
For 7 months. Right. I was consistent, I was showing up for 7 months. My partner made selling like the first week of first month self
You're like,
of selling real estate.
what's
And I'm
going
like,
on?
it doesn't have to end now, right? But those 7 months for me was a very difficult moment, because I missed a lot of things. I was still going on, and I remembered, right? Of course, because this is a Christian podcast, I remembered the situation that surrounds that period. I was reading the book of. I was in a fasting period. That July. I remember it was July. I was in a fasting period, and I just decided that I was tired of no sales.
Yeah.
And I went into a fast. And as I was praying, fasting, the scripture came to my mind, and that was, I think, Luke 5. Luke 5, when that was this period that narrated the Jesus and Peter,
Oh, okay.
at the
At
by the boat side, right? And it appeared to me that even Peter had the experience. Peter started fishing from the age of 8. Peter
he had the experience.
He had the
Why would that
expertise,
night,
and
that day, and he wouldn't catch
he didn't
nothing?
catch anything, right? So it appeared to me that I was skillful, right? I know how to talk.
Yes.
I believe that God gave me that gift, to sell. I know how to persuade people, right? But I just couldn't sell this real estate, right? So, that period, that was when I knew that, it's not just about expertise alone, right? There's something called, the grace of God on your skill,
Your skill.
that brings results, right? So
Grace of God on your skill
that brings results. You get. So that was a period I knew that, I had to just calm down, right? And listen to, that
God's
instruction,
saying.
right? And that was a period, there was a turnaround for me, right? I remember that I was speaking to a woman, right? I sold books for her, and since then we started keeping in touch. Then I spoke to her about real estate, and she told her husband about it. She went behind, tell her husband about it. I just got a call one day. The husband called me and was like, my wife has told me about, there's something when the woman,
fear women.
Ubon King will say, when your matter enters the bedroom, approval is waiting for you in the boardroom. You get. So it was, the woman spoke to the man, and the man just called me, asked some few questions, and the man was like, he was going to buy 1 acre, right? And I think then the company was doing a promo, changing the 10% to 20% commission, right, for that month. And that was the period that, so I
I had
made
that sale. It
20%
was
commission,
just on
about a
time.
million plus, and that was it for me, right? And I knew that this money, no,
Hey.
it's actually true in real estate. So that period, I didn't do so much to the clients. Funny enough, the client has still remained with me. We have
Wow.
done business transaction over 200 million. All he did was he started with 6 million. Now we have done over 200 million worth of transactions. So I think for me, that's
That
my
was the
one of the
beginning.
stories that I always share when I want to talk about my success story in real
And it's a
estate.
profound one. It just shows the intervention of God and how you had to do less and it just
Exactly.
happened. It just
Exactly.
happened. So looking at this, have you had any regrets in any way or fallouts at any point?
The regret I have in real estate is not starting sooner.
Hey, it's not starting
It's not
sooner.
starting sooner, right? I wish like I started, early enough, right? But I know that, of course, there's still a lot of ground to cover. If I had known, I would have started saying this
And
when I
start,
was in secondary
oh,
school
maybe
or primary school.
immediately your brother gave birth to you
Yeah,
like,
oh
oh
yeah.
yeah, real estate. Oh, this is amazing. So I did some background check.
Mm,
Codo Infrastructural Finance
mm,
Corporation,
mm,
amazing stuff. And I saw it's more than buying and selling of real estate. It
mm,
has now become the everyday app on a Nigerian youth's
mm,
phone, on the way to, like any Nigerian that wants to, it's on their way to financial freedom, like
mm,
you can find it on their phone. So
mm.
can you tell us more about that?
Well, for Kodu, the idea is also, came from God,
Wow.
right? And I'm so happy. When we started selling real estate, we had experiences, right, with one or two of our clients that wanted to pay for a land, right, and made a deposit of about 250,000 for a 1 million naira land, and she got stuck, right? So when she got stuck, she could not continue the payment. So another emergency came and she needed the money. And the company's policy I was working for then is like, you're not going to get 100% of your money because I paid commission. You have done some other administrative for your land. So you're going to get like 70%,
Oh,
right? So, and you're going to wait for like 81 days,
it's a
right?
lot.
So she had to wait, and after holding the money for like 8 months, she had to wait for another 3 months to get 70% less of her money, right? To that woman, you can't tell her that real estate is a good way to make money. For her, she already has a bias when it comes to real estate, and all she had was 200K. Then she wanted to do more, but because of her financial restrictions, she could not. Right? Is there now a way for us to be able to cater for people who just have 200,000, who just have 100,000, who just have
That's,
50,000,
we
who
just
just have
have
20,000,
20,000.
right?
Yes.
And we can create an avenue for them to make money in real estate, and that's how the Kodu idea came, right? So, the idea of Kodu is that we want to revolutionize real estate. We want to make real estate accessible to people. We want to make real estate affordable to people. We want to make real estate less free, to people. Less stress free, to people.
So that experience, yeah.
And so when we launched 2022, right, people had already even started paying before we launched. I think we got about 5 million naira deposits before we launched. Someone gave us 1 million naira. Another person gave us 1 million, another person gave us 2 million
Wow.
before we launched, because we did a pre-launch campaign and we're telling people to pay to show their interest. So that was one way for us to validate
That, okay,
our
yes.
idea. And now,
Makes sense.
fast forward 2 years after, we have about 13,000 people using our app. The goal before the end of this year, we want to hit 1 million users.
Yes.
And we are pushing.
That's great. That's amazing. It just brings me back to what you said before, that once you see an imperfection in a system or something,
Exactly.
you just build on it,
Exactly.
and it gives you a brilliant idea.
Exactly.
You just had a let's say a little problem with somebody, she was stuck, and you just sort of, how can we be innovative about this? And I like it just speaks to what you said before, that when it comes to innovation, being innovative is one to infinity, and just think about it and do the next big
Exactly.
thing. Mind
Exactly.
blowing. So there was one of your videos I also watched, and I said I've done a lot of research. And if you notice that when
FBI.
if you notice that when you're talking about 150, 20, I had to say 20 because I was like, that's 20K. I saw it and I was like, start your investment in finance, whatever, as low as 20K. So every Nigerian safe, even if you're just a core member or you're just working somewhere, you can literally want to put 20,000 naira then start from somewhere. Yeah. So back to the research thing. Then I saw a video of you. You were talking in, I think, a Believers Finance conference in maybe 2023 last year, and you're explaining something about global mindset, global something like that. Yes, I want you to speak about it.
Well, when it comes to globalization, I remember then I said that you don't have to be in UK to be okay.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
A lot of people are in United States, but their life is not making a statement.
Wow.
Right? A lot of people are in Germany, but they're not jamming money. Right? The idea is that when people think of globalization, they think of small minds, think of relocation. Right?
Small minds
Big minds think of penetration. Right? Relocation is choosing this or that. Penetration is choosing this and that. Right?
in every space.
Every space. So when God was telling us you should take over the world, go into the world, dominate, visa was not a consideration. Many people get visa now, they use it as a testimony, right? But visa was not a restriction or determinant to our globalization movement. Globalization is more powerful when it is movement of ideas than movement of bodies, right? Microsoft is in US, they have an office in Nigeria, right? They have an office in different parts. Twitter has an office in Ghana, even though it's a global company, right? The idea is that when people think of globalization, we have to reorientate them that it is not until you travel out of the country before you say we are global.
Yeah.
My spiritual father, Pastor Daniel Lawande, before he started traveling, he has been shouting global fire.
Yes,
global fire, global fire. So
and we're seeing
it is not until he started moving around, he has been a global fire before then. Right? And that's the idea. That's the reorientation that a lot of youths need to get, a lot of believers need to get. Visa is a human ideal, right? Because of the ungodliness of people, ungodliness of man. When they go into locations, they try to misbehave. So they have to use visa as a containment, you get, to contain people's ungodliness. So visa cannot limit your globalization. Right, so you have to think of ideas.
Like for somebody.
Ideas. What can you do, right, in that your room, in that your house, in that your locality? What can you do that can attract purchasing power from different countries, even though it's located in your room, even though it's located in Lagos, even though it's located in Kwara, even though it's located in Kaduna, even though it's located in Abuja? What can you do that can attract purchasing power from Asia, from Europe, from a lot of places like that? So that's the more concepts that I feel like a lot of believers, should learn to work with.
Global positioning, like your mind shifts first.
Global position.
And everything shifts. Everything follows. Amazing. So with this you've said, we're already tilting towards, we're going deeper. We're tilting towards the believer's mindset and all of that. So how have you been able to, influence your Christian beliefs, even in real estate so far?
Well, the journey of a believer is a location sensitive journey, right? The Bible says in the beginning God created, the heaven, right, and the earth, right? That's the location, right? God created, Adam and Eve, brought them into gardens. That's location, right? Satan came, deceived them, took them out of the garden, took them out of a location to a location. God now said that these people have left a location that I almost, I love them to stay. He now had to send his son, Jesus, to a location to take us back
to that location.
Right? So the journey of a believer is location, sensitive, right? And, seeing from there, right, I believe that I am not a businessman in the kingdom. I'm a kingdom man in business. My faith comes first before, my business. And I remember that, looking from my spiritual background, my spiritual mentorship from Pastor Daniel Olawande, and every of these, experiences solidified our faith to doing what we are doing in the company. I remember when we were starting, we had to go to camp, did a lot of prayers, even did a lot of seed sowing, before we started the business. So the foundation of whatever we are doing is actually the foundation of faith, right? So because I'm a person of faith, that's helped me, to easily see something and know that this is not just a physical something, it's more of a spiritual angle. So we have done a lot of transactions that we have taken more of a spiritual angle than a physical angle. So my faith has actually, influenced me in a lot of dealings when it comes to
Yeah.
my real estate business.
Yeah, I like the fact that you said that it's your faith started as a form of foundation for
Yes.
you. So it inspired everything you were doing, and you were
Exactly.
able to see and discern if it was a physical decision to
Exactly.
make at some point or a spiritual decision to make at
And
some point.
many times God has shown us that He gave us this idea. I remember, my partner was praying on camp one day, and God gave us a word, that was going to give us real estate like dust, right?
And I saw that in scripture.
It's always everywhere, right? Real estate like dust. God asked, He said, "Can you count us?" He said, "No." He said, "If you can count us, He's going to give us real estate like dust." And I remember there's a passage of that in the scripture that talks about you will lay up good as dust. So I remember that I asked God the question. I said, "Is this similar to it?" He said, "It's similar, but He said we will lay up in the Bible. He said He will give us." So there's a difference between laying and giving. And that word, is like a prophetic word in our business, that whenever we have, issues, whenever we just remember that word and say, "God, you said this," and doors will begin to open.
Wow, that's profound. Thank you so much. So now we've said the faith part of you and the starting of the business. So how have you seen, or how are you incorporating giving back to the society? Because yes, you're a person of faith and value. How are you also giving back to the society, even as a Christian and also somebody in the real estate?
Of course, right. Part of the things that has also helped our faith is service, right? And if you look at the present society, we have a lot of housing deficits, right? In Lagos, for instance, right? It means that there are more people but few houses, accommodations, few houses, few. So one of the things that we are doing as a company is to see how that we can bridge the gap, right, by providing affordable housing, providing affordable real estate projects. We're able to bridge the gap of the housing deficit that we have in Nigeria, especially Lagos, for instance. At least 6,000 people come to Lagos every day without going back. Right, 6,000 people come to Lagos every day without planning to go back. This 6,000 people, they will just prefer maybe anywhere,
even if under the bridge.
It's a lot, right? And that's why I believe that when nation building starts from state building, there will be so much less pressure on Lagos, so that other states can also, develop their state and see how that the population can be spread across, because people naturally will go to where there's development, right? And that has caused a problem, for the Lagos market. So we have to, seeing how that we can bridge the gap, creating affordable projects and whatnot. And also, we also give back, right? As a company, we give back to the society. We have a lot of CSR projects, trainings that we do. I remember we also did the free video training, to some people. We also help people, right? We give opportunities to people, employing a lot of youth, right? I mean, we have about 23 people that work with us, right? And so we are doing a lot, when it comes to giving back to the society, right? And ultimately, as a business also, we help people, obey God's instruction. He says it is a good man will leave inheritance for his children's children. So we help people become good men.
I see you're touching many places. You're touching, yes, you're touching lives, you're touching people, you're touching platforms. Because you just mentioned state building, nation building, like using the strategy of making sure other places are also developed. So that is even speaking to nation building and talking about people that you're employing, talking about even helping people to fulfill the will of God, the instruction of leaving inheritance. And that's very profound. Yes.
Thank you.
So looking at that now, we also have something with Standby. TPG, the Petrol Global, we are a platform or an institution to educate people, and we believe in dominance too. We believe in balance for Christian professionals, we believe in royal priesthood. We believe that a Christian, as yes, you can be a Christian, but we also want you to rule as kings. So, is there any similarity between this and Huddle Realty?
Yes, yes, I would say that, right? Because it is the destiny of every believer to dominate.
Oh, yeah.
Your calling as a believer is a high calling, right? Is a calling to greatness, right? So, and spirituality is not an excuse for mediocrity, right? The fact that we are believer doesn't mean that we should do things substandard, right? There is a demand, right? There is a we have to represent God, right?
No,
In this sphere, right? Because a lot of people are doing it, representing other faiths, representing Satan, So we as believers, we even have more, how will I call it, more responsibility, right, to take over. I usually tell people that $50 billion is in the hand of an unbeliever, is $50 billion in the hand of the devil. Right, $15 billion in the hand of a believer is $15 billion in the hand of God. Right. So believers, we have to, have that takeover mindset. Right. Takeover mindset, takeover mandate, right? When Jesus is sweet in CNN, right? Jesus is Lord in CNN. That is more powerful, it holds more weight, right? When people see us rise, they can now begin to question our source, right? And then you can now tell them that
this is
it's God, right? It's Jesus. So that takeover mindset is actually very, very important, because the kind of world that we are in, right? They also believe, in sources. They believe in, there's this popular quote, show workings. Stop saying church. A lot of people being in evidence, right?
Yeah.
Workings. Right? When you're able to show them result and you're able to let them, when they come, they gravitate towards you because of your result, and you show them, right, the result maker. So I believe that many believers need to have that mindset and seek for dominance, right? If you're not ready to dominate the market share, you become the next market to be shared, right? You have to seek for that dominance for God, right? And so that by the time we rise to the pinnacle, we can raise our banner and say, our banner is God. So pretty much.
I like that dominant spirit. That makes sense, yes. And Christianity is not mediocrity. I like all that you said. So now we're going a bit deeper.
Take me deeper.
Yes. Okay, so is there any point that, we're talking about faith and we really appreciate that you're somebody who value? Is there any point that maybe God told you not to do a particular transaction? And and maybe you spent the money or something, and you're like, God, why did I do this? But I really want you to say it because people too can also learn from that experience.
Well, I would say that it didn't come directly from me. Less from me, I will have taken a biggest mistake in the company, and that's why I am one of the advocate of partnership, right? Because one we chase 1,000, to get with two people, right? There's more results. I remember September 5, 2022, 5 months after, or 5 to 6 months after we started Cordio, we met an investor that was interested in what we were doing. And I think we were about 300 users then. So the investor saw us, we met in Eco Atlantic. Excuse me. We met at Eco Atlantic, was willing to invest in our idea, about $1.5 million.
Wow.
Right. That's about a billion in naira, right? And as at then, right, he wanted to get an equity of, I think, about 30% equity in the company. Right. Of course, we knew that it was not going to work. That we can't give you 30% because of how much are you bringing. We will not sell our rights, like ESO. We will not do that. Right. We won't sell our rights. So we disagreed. We now told the man that the least we can do is 15%. Right. So he said that he was going to give us cars, branded cars. He was going to give us an office space in Chevron, 4-bedroom apartment. He told us to even check it out. He's in friends with Two-Face and Nancy Sime. He was going to onboard them as our brand ambassadors, talk about us. He was going to give us traveling allowances to travel out like twice in a year, and in my mind I was even saying real estate like dust. This is the dream life.
Yeah,
Like,
this is it.
oh my
Hey.
god. I was already anticipating all of that, but we didn't agree on the equity sharing because the man still wanted 30, so we left the meeting. That same day, the man called us 11:39. He said, "Are we available? Can we come to his house for the meeting?" That he thinks he will accept the 15% equity. So we went to his house that night, right? We were like, thank God, it was a nice apartment in Ikoyi. We were there listening to him. Was really, really interested in the 15% equity. And I told my partner that let's sign.
Yeah, fast.
Let's sign that night. There's no
I need to go
time.
and change his mind.
At least he has accepted. Now let's.
Okay.
My partner said we should calm down. I said, what do you mean by calm down?
Thank God for partnership.
He said, calm down. I said, what do you mean by calm down? We even fought self when we were leaving. He said he needs to make a research about the investor. At first, I had to laugh. Like, what do you mean by me? What do you mean by you want to check? Is it not investor that should check you out? You man, you now say you want to check.
When do, yeah, like, like where have you, what
you
have
get
you
money
done
when you want, you get.
I want to check.
So,
yeah.
But I knew that it was not ordinary, right? Because both of us had been excited about the whole conversation. We had been excited about, right? But I just knew that it was not an ordinary decision. Like, it was a quickening, discernment, right, that came. And when he said that, I said, no, Allah. I was not even interested because in my mind I was already anticipating traveling, car, all of those things, the Google things, right? So 1 a.m. he sent me a link. He sent me that link. He not even talk, he just sent me the link. So when I clicked the link, I now discovered that the man was wanted in US for a 1 point something million dollar scam. And as a matter of fact, it happened in April. He met us in September. So it was even a recent event. His wife has been arrested. He traveled down to Nigeria and he was looking for a way to just, keep the funds, right? And, so immediately, the moment he sent me that link, I was like,
I surrender.
Top, right? And thank God, for that quickening, right? So that was one time I knew that God saved, the company, and so it has even solidified the fact that as believers, it's not all good things that are good, right? Some things are good, but they are not good for you. Right, and so beyond every sweet deals, beyond every, all that glitters are not good, right? So we just have to be careful, to discern, look back, and see that, okay, is this the right thing for us to do? Is this what God wants you to do?
Yeah. That's profound because I'm just thinking of every other thing that could happen.
If I had collected
that.
the money, we would have blown, like. With the weight, back? But it's gonna be for a short time.
Yeah.
Right. It's gonna. US don't joke with history of all of those they don't joke with it. If they find a way to attach it to you, it's gonna affect you. And I'm not building a business for Nigeria.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
So
like it's a global thing, so you can even get there and they check the records and it just spoils the whole thing. Amazing. When you're saying something about all the glitters are not good, I heard a new Gen Z stuff. Let me just share it on the letter note. They said that you pack everything that glitters when you get to your room.
You sort out
point on the floor and look for the one that has gold. And I was like, really? Okay. So to really round up this, why the name Kodu and Escort?
Well, Kodu came from John, Escort came from me, right? Kodu, right, was, according to what John explained to me, he found that name in Genesis chapter 1, right? When God was saying,
they sound romantic.
Yes. When God was saying, let us come together, let us do this, let us do that, let us do this. So the idea is that the creation story and some of the significant things that God did in His Bible came as a result of a collaboration. Right? Let us come together. Right? And that was how the coming together is what brought about the Kodu. right? So when people think of cuddle, a lot of people think of a romantic embrace, but we think of wealth embrace, right? Because when more people do things, right, a lot can actually be achieved. For escort, it also came as a result of, I was just reading Book of Revelations, and there was a particular verse that struck my mind, and the verse was talking about guidance, was talking about leading you right to a place, right? So and that was how the name came, right? So escort is, we are escorting people. We have known the path. We have passed the path. So let us escort you there. Let's take you there. Let's guide you there.
Baby
Right?
Debe.
Baby Debe, something like that.
Yeah.
When there's a bullion van, right? Bullion van don't go alone. You see escort, right? So we are letting you know that we are going to guide your money, right?
Yeah.
We are going to preserve your money. We are going to multiply your money, bring it to us. So the escorts for us is like the two companies is like a mandate that we got the inspiration of the name from the scriptures.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I'm very sure if persons are going to be your clients in the future, amazing brainstorming, what would I call them? Amazing, good professionals in every sphere of influence that are going to come into real estate or maybe become your clients. With this revelation you have shared for them, they will really want to do business with you. All right, so I would love to ask about Eco Gardens too. Can you tell us about Eco Gardens?
The journey of Eco Gardens is a very brutal journey.
No.
Right, I'm not gonna lie. I remembered everything. We just find a way to, relate everything with because of our faith. Right. I remember when we wanted to buy a garden, someone gave me a prophecy. Right, that he saw us buy large gardens, large plot of land facing one company, Zula Rich. So when the person gave that prophecy, I said, no Allah. I just took it casually now. It's not a problem. So when we sold our first and second property, we were looking for another property to buy in Epe. The first place we got to was, I saw Zula Ridge. I'm like, okay, about 2 minutes, close to the place, I saw the land they showed us. I'm like, this cannot be a coincidence, right? So that alone solidified, decision like, wow, this is something amazing. This is a project that God is leading us to, right? And, talking from the acquisition, it was very deadly because it was a roadside property, very brutal. We made a mistake that cost us about 14 million, right? Roughly 20 million because we had to even go to court, take the issue. So what happened was that, when God says something, devil also will, bring up his vices. So it was a kind of a contention. God said, I've given you this land. Now take charge. He said he has given, but he said you take charge. Even despite the fact that he said that I've given you this land, right? Yeah. So God gave us this land. The enemies came, but we had to take charge. So the families that we met were not the original families that sold the land to us, right? Not like they were two outright strangers, right? They were still members of the family, but they were not the right executives that the family has set into, right? So we had to pay a certain amount to them first, right? Before we now had to pay to the original owner. So the matter was a court issue, right? And God was helping us through those court issues that eventually, when we later settled it, we didn't have to pay another money, right? We had to just complete the payment to the because the usual decision is that the money you have paid was going to be null and void. You will have to pay fresh money
again
to the new family and start again over 40 million, right? But I mean, we thank God that God, came through, for us that period, through prayers and whatnot, and we settled everything. We only continue the payment, right, to the executive, the right executives, right? The journey was that tough, right? But eventually God has given us victory. And I remember that, one of the reasons why we named it Eco Gardens was because of the Garden of Eden, right? A place where people can relax, a place where people can perform, people can live, work, and play.
Oh, so it's
Right?
going to be like a residential building.
Like a
Yeah.
residential and resort.
Oh wow.
Right. So we want to see how that we can, make people escape from the hustle and bustle, of Lagos, where people
There's
can
a
relax.
serenity,
We're doing a lot of ideas. We're going to be doing wedding gardens. We're going to be doing a virtual reality where we're going to take people to different parts of the country without traveling. Right, just
actually
by
a garden.
just by virtual reality. So, I remember when we were struggling with sales in that project, I was praying to God. I remember God told me that when he put Adam in the garden, what was the instruction? He told him to start tilling
Feeling.
the garden. And God told us that when we started working on the land, sales will come. So we had to put funds, started doing clearing, started doing fencing, and it was rushing.
Wow.
Right? So every story of Eco Gardens, right, is actually revolves around God, revolves around how how the beauty of God, how he created the Garden of Eden, how the vision that he has for the Garden of Eden. Of course, Satan came in the Garden of Eden, so Satan came too in Eco Gardens. But then we're grateful. We have done the first batch of allocation. We have allocated lands to people. We have done the second batch of allocation. When we started, a plot of land was selling 900K. Now a plot of land is selling 10 million in a place.
900 to 10 million.
10 million in a place. So, it's a project that we are proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to go places.
Wow.
This is not the end. It's going to be
Exactly.
bigger. All right, so we're rounding up this session. It's been a wonderful one. I don't want to leave this place.
I don't talk too much.
No, it's okay. I'm very sure that you did lots of insight, to be honest, lots of insight. So what would you be telling other young professionals that would like to come into real estate industry? They're looking at you and they're like, okay, this man looks all made up, right? But I would love for you to say 1, 2, 3 sentences to them if they are coming into real estate and they are also a Christian.
Well, like I said earlier, real estate is a faster vehicle to make wealth, right? But one of the things that you need to do is arm yourself with knowledge. If you don't consult before you confront, you'll be confounded, right? So arm yourself with knowledge. Arm yourself with knowledge. Study to show thyself approved unto God. Before people will approve of you, you have to study. So it means that you cannot do real estate without big knowledge. You have to invest in knowledge, look at what other people are doing, what the great success people are doing, see how that you can learn from them. Because if you know better, you will definitely do better. Number 2, important thing is be consistent, right? Be consistent. Show up, right? In the 7 months of not selling, I was showing up because I had bigger goals. I had things, that were pursuing me, to sell. I usually ask myself the question, who will suffer if I don't make it, right? What will happen to the church? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my beautiful babe that I want to marry, right? So I those motivations, those were like motivations that kept motivating me to sell. So you have to have a bigger, motivation ahead of you that, pushes you to do what you want to do. My mentor, Bon King, will say that a dream is not what you see when you sleep. A dream is what stops you from sleeping. So have a bigger goal that puts on you a discipline, right? Have a vision that impose on you a discipline to actually make progress. Then learn how to sell, right? You can't do real estate without selling, right? You have to learn how to sell. I believe that selling is God's judgment system that is set into this world so that nobody will have an excuse for being poor. Right, when the widow came to prophet and told the prophet about the problems of the husband that died and people were coming, the prophet gave an instruction. He said, go and borrow oil. And you think that naturally or automatically the oil will convert to money. But the prophet gave her instruction. He said, begin to sell. So God, has a way of preparing selling as a means to make us prosper. So your sales ability determines your prosperity. Learn how to sell, arm yourself with knowledge, and hard work. It takes hard work to escape hard life. Work hard, and I know that you are going to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fabian George. You need to check him out and see what he's doing. He's doing amazing stuff. Eco Gardens, Cordo Realty, Escort Realty. Amazing. Thank you so much for honoring us. Yes, for honoring our invitation.
It's a pleasure doing this with you.
Yes. God bless you. All right, till next time. Bye.